Okay, let's talk about 2022. 2021's been weird, hasn't it? 2020 has been just as weird. For me, it all started with Kobe's death in 2020 in February, and then it just went all downhill. We could see COVID come in, and here we are 18 months later, and it's all a bit of a I'm trying to find a way of explaining what it is without swearing, and I'm struggling. It's a bit of a mess, isn't it? That's the nicest way of doing it. So what's 2022 going to have in store for us then? Well, I think a couple of things. First of all, across the board, obviously prices are going up. I was just giving my cleaner a pay rise, for example. Rents are on the way up. We're keeping our content packages about the same price because we're able to. Salaries haven't actually increased much. And so, depending on where you are, will determine what's in store for you. So if you're an employee, you're not getting a pay rise. Even though everything else is going up, like you might squeeze a 2 or 3% pay rise, which in real terms isn't a pay rise if inflation's 4 to 6%. And I'm not even convinced it's as low as that, even though that's what they tell us. I think it's probably much higher than that. I saw something on the ONS saying that rental prices have only increased 1.3%, not the 13% or 6%, whatever it was, that Rightmove or Zoopla said it is. And I'm like, ONS are a bunch of bald-faced liars. There is no way on this God's green earth that rents have only gone up 1.3%. So you've got to kind of take this information with definitely a touch of disbelief. Because I don't believe a word that these people are saying. It's all manipulative bollocks, quite frankly. So I believe that you should be out there looking and seeing with your own two eyes, if you've got that many eyes, you should be out there looking and seeing what's happening and making your own decisions based on your own education and so on. And so one of the things that you should be doing as we move into 2022 is that you need to increase your level of education. So it's like, what books are you going to read? And by the way, I struggle reading books these days. I've got a Kindle. I keep thinking I'm going to read it, and then I never do. And then I read a page, and my attention span is dreadful. And I think I'm probably going to have to go back to like physical page books rather than Kindle books, so I can see how long it is, and I can work my way through the book. But your increasing knowledge is going to pay off dividends because you're going to be able to put together this disparate pieces of information and make up your own plan for how you're moving forward into 2022 and then 2023 and 2024. This is down to you. No help is coming, folks. The government, Boris is not coming in on his white horse, waving a flag, coming in to help you. If anything, he's coming in on a white horse with a shotgun to blow your dreams apart. Because that's what this government does, and you're going to have to deal with that in some way. You're going to have to take responsibility, and I know a lot of people who watch this show and listen to this show actually do, which is awesome, but it's now time to step up to that next level. Right now, somebody somewhere is making an awful lot of money, and somebody somewhere is petrified and don't move, and the deer in the headlights, this may be you in fact, and you're not sure which way to go, and so you're just waiting. And I think if you're just waiting, you're losing a trick. You're missing out on a trick there. You've got to move. And so 2022, if you've not got a side hustle, bear in mind earlier on we were talking about long hours shouldn't be normalised, but if you've not got a side hustle, you need a side hustle. But it's got to be a smart side hustle. It can't be something that's exchanging time for money. So for example, a really good side hustle would be something like creating a training course. So you have to work to create the training course, and then when you've got the training course, it's yours forever. Like you can sell it with our property sourcing training course. We made a couple of sales this morning, for example. I made that course in February last year, 18 months ago, and today we still make money off that. That's one of the income streams as a millionaire that you also should have. Millionaires have like 7 different income streams. Capital gains, training courses, intellectual rights, and so on, right? So that's what you've got to be doing. Rental income, dividends, stocks and shares. So you've got to get a side hustle of some kind, and you're going to have to start to learn to create additional income away from your job, because your job's also not going to come to save you. What else has 2022 got in store? Inflation is going to erode your income. Let me rephrase that. Inflation is going to erode your spending power. That's a better way of saying it. because the things that was costing a pound will cost you £1.20 or £1.05 according to because it's only 4 or 5% is inflation, which, let's face it, we know that that's not the case. Look at how much fuel has gone up. A bag of cement went from £5 to £20. That's not a 5% inflation increase, is it? And obviously wages are also going to increase as well, hopefully in 2022. But just because you're getting a wage increase doesn't mean you're getting a pay rise, because inflation is eroding that. So what else can we do for 2022? I think now is the time to look at where is the planet heading. So there's a couple of big things going on. Cryptocurrency, obviously, but you need some spare cash to be able to put into it. Maybe you could do some trading and that kind of thing. So let's just go back to trading for a second. Right now, behind this monitor, behind the camera, I've got 2 screens set up with my Forex trades on there. And I'm just testing a new Forex trade strategy, and it seems to be working. I don't know how many pips it is, but I'm about 300 pips up from last week, which is really good, right? Continually testing new ways of generating bigger, longer-term income. That's what we do. What is it that you can do in terms of generating additional income? Like, where are we going? What about NFTs? One guy just sold an NFT for like $60 million. Beeple, he's called. And don't get me wrong, he's very good as an artist. Not something I could do in any way stretch of the imagination. But NFTs are a thing. What about autonomy of driving? What about Tesla and what they're doing? Is there something you can invest in there? Is there a product or service that you can provide to allow people to go down this path? The world is changing, folks. So there's this thing called a singularity. So technology is moving to this point, okay? So it's reaches this point, and at that point becomes a singularity. This is where in Terminator Skynet takes over, because it's reached the singularity and Skynet becomes self-aware. Now, I don't think we're going to have self-awareness AI, and if we do, we'll be able to switch it off. But I do think that technology-wise, we're reaching this certain point. Beforehand, we've already spoken about the metaverse and how you can take advantage of that. And one of the things that we're thinking about is how can we, as a graphic design agency or a social media agency, take greater advantage of the metaverse and enable people to demonstrate their perception in the marketplace much better than they currently are. Having images at the top and down the side, arrows that move up and down, nice lighting at the back. I mean, literally today, I just pulled the trigger and spent £1,500 on a new PC and some extra lighting and some extra monitors to upgrade the system. Because as we're moving into the metaverse, we want to improve our perception. We want better lighting, for example. We've got a decent microphone. The camera at some point, which is just a Logitech 920, that's probably going to get improved. We'll spend, in a couple of months, we'll spend £1,000 on a decent camera specifically for live streaming, so the quality is much better. So we're always moving forward and improving that from a metaverse point of view. But take a look at, and by the way, it's not for me to say what you should be going into. This is why you should be reading. When cryptocurrency came out, I went to Waterstones and bought every single book that they had on cryptocurrency, all 3 of them, in fact, in 2017, which is late to the game. Obviously, most people watching this don't even own crypto, so it's not late to the game for them. We're actually still very early on for crypto. But your job should be to get all the disparate pieces of information and then start making the connections between these, and that will determine where you go. And that's something that we've always done for the last, I'd say, 20 years, since the age of 30, really. In fact, 20 years in May was when I gave up work for the very last time I had an employer. So I was 29, just going into my 30th birthday, which is in July. So one of my roles for the last 20 years is to make all these disparate connections and then come up with my own ideas about where to go next. And actually, you know what? We've done pretty well at that. But that's only because we've put the effort in, we've read the books and we've listened to the podcasts and we've watched for people who are able to make a difference in other people's lives, like the Grant Cardones and the Gary V's and so on and so forth, and the Elon Musks. And we're seeing what they're doing and then going, okay, how can we then use that to generate income for us that we can then move into long-term wealth through property and stocks and shares and crypto and that kind of thing. So 2022 is going to be really exciting, I think. There's a lot of change going on right now. And like we say, if you're not adapting with that change, you're going to get left behind. You are going to be the dinosaur that gets left behind. And obviously we don't want that.